Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought you another fantastic guest. But please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, hit that notification button. And also, I have currently a new Kickstarter running for the Oswald Chronicles, just started running. So go check that out and help support the channel. And go check out the Greatest Mouse Adventure running today. And without further ado, here's my guest, our guest, who I've talked to before, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him again, Michael Oden.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing?
Doing good. And Mike, I got to tell you, you perhaps have the best last name out there.
Yeah, I get that at least once per show. Everyone's just like, all right, I gotta stop everything.
Yeah,
that's a fucking pen name, right? Like that's not real. There's no way. And I'm like, no, that is. I am fortunate in having a name that is practically tailored to this industry. So like, that's always a good time.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Hey, listen, I met someone with the last name of Jaeger. So, so I was like, okay. So I was just all right, cool. So Mike, I mean, we've spoken before. We've spoken about your process. I mean, there's some new things to go into. You understand? But you completed, a campaign, man, and like I know that's a big deal. You understand? By what I saw, you did very well on that campaign. I know, obviously, no matter how well we do, we always want to do better, right?
Yes, absolutely. and like already working at it.
Right. So I mean, like, what are the things that you learned from that campaign? Like, what are the things you said, damn, I could have done that a little bit better,
From a business standpoint, it was almost all in promotion. One of the first things that I did when I started promoting for the next book, which we'll talk about at some point, was I got in touch with Phil Locklear, who does a whole bunch of stuff, and I brought him on as my marketing guy to help, because it's so integral. It really is, getting out there and networking and getting your name out there. It's so important to the process, because you could have the best looking, best written book ever created, and if you don't network it and get it out there properly, and you don't invest the time to do that, you're dead in the water. You really are. And we almost didn't hit the campaign goal last time, and a big reason for that was because I did no pre-marketing. I wasn't getting out there into the industry before. I wasn't being like, hey, I'm working on getting my first book out there, and I wasn't taking in all of that information immediately. I just kind of threw myself into the fray, and it was out of the frying pan into the fire. It was such a stressful thing, because you feel like you're in a constant battle of the clock. And so, I learned a lot. Set your flex goal low so that you can hit it, and complete and continue to make it something so that you can double it quickly too. Because Indiegogo, every single time you hit an additional 100%, they promote the shit out of your book, right? So every single to put it at something super low that's attainable, that will allow you to at least print the book. That's what I found. It would be nice if I recouped my costs and everything, but the most important thing with fulfilling your with doing your campaign is making sure that you have enough to put the product out there in the customer's hands. And so that's kind of where I put it at. Is like, all right, well, if for some odd reason we went from, I made 8,829 on the first campaign. If for some horrible chance of fate, I ran the second campaign and no one came out, I could print those books with 2,000. So that's where I set that. So it is low. It's super low, and we can continue to go from there. And that's the whole idea, is just market well, set flex goals, have stretch goals. I know that there are some people that don't like those, but man, are they motivators. If you're like, yeah, I'll freaking throw in some cool shit. Like, I know that like one of the big things is we made almost 10,000 on our first campaign. And I think we would have made it. There was some snafus that came up where I was on some interviews and they had some technical difficulties getting the videos up. And the interviews that I did were with really big people. And if I had gotten on there, I think we probably would have at least hit 9K, if not 10. So like my big goal for the next book is I want to hit 20,000. And so like if we hit 20,000, I'm throwing an additional 10 pages into the story. Right, nice. You're getting stuff that would have been in the next, not Pyramid Gambit, but the book after that. And so like that's the whole idea, is that like I can't like you really want to you want to keep growing. You want to make sure that you market yourself well, and obviously you set low flex goals, and you want to set a lot of stretch goals so that you can benchmark your campaign. You can give your fans something to look forward to. Like every single time. Like I think the first stretch goal that I have is when we get funded, all the books are getting signed. All of them. Because why not? I'm not some big shot that can really and that was a mistake that I made in my first campaign. I remember hearing a few people talking about it. I was like, I really don't like it when like these indie creators charge extra for their signature. And they brought up that Mark Silvestri was doing a Kickstarter campaign for the hardcover collection of the Darkness, and he's signing all of those, and he's not charging a dime for it. So I'm just like, how the fuck am I going to live with myself with charging for a signature when this guy who's literally written one of my favorite comic books I've ever written isn't doing it? Like it's bonkers. So that I thought that was a fun thing. We hit a stretch goal, everyone gets a book signed. And it keeps going from there. So I think that was a big thing on the business side. On the creative side, we were talking a little bit about it before the show. Editor. Right. I don't care if you think you're the next coming of Ernest Hemingway and your writing can support it. Editor. I was the editor on my first book. I didn't do a bad job. I don't think I did a bad job. But even for me, I was going through and I would notice like little things. And so that's important too. So I brought on somebody to do proofs and make sure that, we really put out something where there are no issues, there are no anything, and everything turns out 100% how it should be.
Right. No, I completely agree. I mean, trust me, we've been doing it a long time, and these things always come out a little funky no matter what happens.
Oh, that was another thing. Graphic designer. I had one guy say, your credits pages and everything aren't bad, but they look like they're done by an amateur. And I'll take that hit. I had never used Photoshop before, and I taught myself how to do it to make all of those come to life. And it was a painstaking process. I probably cursed out my laptop more times than I can count, and everybody in the house would look at me like I was a crazy person. But I'm proud of what I did, but at the same time, I completely understand that you put it up to something that you'd see in the industry, and it doesn't hold up. And so that was another thing. We're bringing in a graphic designer to handle all of that stuff, the credit page layouts. We're doing the next book's going to be dedicated to my high school history teacher, who was very influential in me and how I saw things. He passed away a few months ago to COVID-19, and I found out about it last week. And that hit me really hard. And so I got in touch. I had posted up on Facebook, and his sister saw it because I had tagged him in it, and she reached out to me, and I asked her permission if I could dedicate the next book to him. So we're doing that.
Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah, he was such a fantastic man. Like, I'm not going to say too much because I think I want people to read the dedication that I wrote. Like, not to toot my own horn, but like, there is a specific story that I love telling about Major Tynan. And that's what I tell in the dedication. And so I will let you guys see it when it comes out.
All right. That's cool. Oh, that's awesome. Now, now, like, when you first started doing, when you first started putting together your whole package, obviously you saw somebody, you saw something that said, you know what, I want to do this. And I'm not talking about comics. I'm talking about, doing a campaign. Like, who was your inspiration to like come in and say, you know what, I can do this?
There were a few people, over the past, I think my introduction to it was Richard C. Meyer with the Diversity in Comics page. I have had a very mixed opinion about how Richard C. Meyer handles his comic reviews. Right. I think that he provides very good constructive criticism when it's constructive, and I learned a lot from that. And in fact, a lot of the things, in particular about setting up a panel for an action sequence and everything like that, and making sure that your action sequences aren't bogged down by dialogue and just let the scene play out, let it be cool, let it be a journey that the reader enjoys. I think that from that standpoint, I learned a lot from Richard C. Meyer. I don't like that lack of professional. I come from the military, and I know he's a Marine. I was Army. We have different mindsets. But on my side of things, it was always, the real professional that is hot shit and, is worth the fucking ammunition in their gun. It's the guy that doesn't fucking talk about it. It's the guy that is just putting rounds downfield and is executing 100% all the time. And so the big issue that I had with Myers was personally attacking all the creators. And I understand that there are feuds and everything that happened, and I understand bad blood between the creators, and that's one thing. But like, if you've never met a person, you have no reason to talk about them in that way. If you've never had dealings with them. And that was always something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But as I said, like that, he was the first person that I really heard about talking about the crowdfunding. And so then I started looking at Indiegogo, and I started seeing in all these other projects. And I'm not going to lie to you, there was a campaign that inspired me, but not in the way that you think. It was a campaign called Once and Future, and I'm fine. I'm okay talking about this now because I've done my first campaign and everything. But I set that campaign as my rival. The reason why I wanted to get in, do my campaign, and what really inspired me, was I was looking through Indiegogo for a campaign to back, and it came up on things I might be interested in, and the cover was gorgeous. It was really cool, and it's kind of got an Arthurian twist to it, and I'm a huge King Arthur fan.
Now, hold on a second. Now, this isn't the Once and Future from Boom Studios, is it?
No, it's not. It was.
Okay.
I might be butchering the title. We might have to look it up. But like, effectively, it takes place in World War II, and a girl picks up Excalibur, and becomes the reincarnation of King Arthur and what have you. And so I was like, okay, this seems pretty interesting. And so the cover art was like gorgeous, and then you scroll down and you look into the interior. It looks nothing like the cover, which is not necessarily a bad thing so long as it's still good art. But it was bad art. It was really bad. And I was just like, what the fuck? And this person made over like $2,000, $3,000 on their campaign. And I was just like, all right, that's fucking it. If this asshole can make a campaign and make $2,000 off of it, fuck it. I'm going. And like, that was the whole thing, was like, even during the campaign, I remember when we surpassed what they had made on their book, I made a fucking announcement. It was like, I'm not going to oust this campaign out of professionalism. But like this campaign that I have set as my rival since the day one, they had this much amount, and my whole thing in my head was, so long as I make more than this fucking clown, I'm good. And that was it. It was just like if I put out a product that people enjoyed, and was worth the money that they paid into it, that's what mattered to me. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, we put out a product that showed up stuff like that, because I feel like projects like that are what give indie comics this rep where people kind of look sideways at us sometimes, because it's like you have these creators who put so little care in their books, who will spend all the money on the nicest cover on the face of the planet, but then won't hire a good interior artist, or you know, or they'll ship their books and they'll come to you damaged to all hell, or and it's unacceptable to me. And so that was if there was anything that pushed me into doing my own indie book, it was, if these assholes could do it by being pieces of shit, I can do it by loving it, by being a good creator, by being somebody that fulfilled their books and made sure that they got to their customers within a reasonable amount of time, that they weren't damaged, that they were quality books that people enjoyed holding in their hands. And I think that I've delivered that with the Zero issue. I really do think I have. And like I don't consider myself a particularly vain person. It's like, but I've had a certain
level of pride.
Yeah. Like, and that's like, I've had feedback from people, and the general consensus is positive over Elysian Fields. And the big thing that everyone talks about is, holy shit, is this a pretty book? I mean, I have this copy of it right here. Look at that thing.
Yeah, no, that looks awesome, man.
Like
that's what a silver foil?
Yeah, this was the holofoil. This was the limited holofoil print that we have, and like it feels good in your hand. It's got a good weight to it. It's including its covers. It's 40 pages. You know, we've got a good art gallery in there. We've got I think a very solid story that keeps you wanting to turn each page. And I think that we delivered a solid package with that book, and people are happy about it, and people are excited for the next book. We already have almost 100 people signed up for the mailing list.
Right, no, that's awesome. Listen, the one thing I read when I read it, the one thing that struck me that I found that was very good was that it flowed. It flowed. You understand? Because not every comic flows.
Pacing is such a big issue for me. That was like that's the one thing I'm worried about with Pyramid Gambit, is because that's where we start to get a little bit expo heavy in certain scenes, because we've got to kind of explain how the tournament works and everything like that, and it's never easy to kind of get that out there without it feel like a giant expo dump that just slows things down, but it needs to be gotten out of the way. And I completely understand why people say that second issues are the hardest now, because like your first issue, you're just giving people a taste effectively. You know, it's welcome to it. The second and third issues are really where you're like, well, now we need to establish the rules of this universe. Right. And I think that I do it in a way where it comes off as less like needless exposition and more like an intriguing conversation between characters. Because that's what I was hoping to do with it. But like, pacing is something that, as someone who's done a lot of comic reviews and has done a lot of reviews of not even just comics, films, all sorts of things, one of the biggest struggles that every writer that I've seen has is over pacing. There are moments where there are some books that really pacing there's some really competent writing and there's some really competent art, but if you don't pace your stories well, it'll kill it. And like, speaking of that, that's what happened with bringing it back to Richard C. Meyer. That was one of the biggest problems with the Jawbreakers book that I had. It's paced like crap. And I even wrote a review and sent it to him, and he read it and he was like, this is a good review. And I'll take it under consideration, which was really cool. Because he didn't have me do an advanced review or anything. I just backed the book because I enjoyed the first book enough to where I was like, okay, I'll try out God King. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is an improvement, but the pacing in this book is shit. It'll kill a great story. It really can.
I mean, he has enough money that he should be able to hire a full-time editor to go over his stuff and really, really hammer it. Sometimes it sucks. I've been on that end where, you had your editor and they just beat you up. That's their job though. Sometimes 100%. You need it.
And that's one of those things where I am hiring an editor specifically for proofing. I might bring on an editor to be a bit more hands-on with the script for the next book, but pacing is something that I pay super close attention to. I feel when I'm writing that I don't feel like that's an issue. But if that's something that comes back on Pyramid Gambit, people are like, man, this was solid, but it could have been paced a lot better. Editor, bringing in an editor immediately. And I already know who I'm going to bring in.
Well, that's good.
Because it's somebody that I've worked with on a lot of stuff that I have upcoming, and I work with them so well. Honestly, he's probably one of the best dudes I've met in the industry. He's a good guy. But
all right, cool. Here's one for you. Where do you feel your greatest support came from during this campaign? This goes to marketing. So where, I don't know if you have a newsletter, you understand, podcasts, or something like posting on Facebook or Twitter. Where do you think your greatest support came from?
So there's two answers to that. Because I feel that it got split in half. At the beginning of the campaign, the thing that pushed us and was a big support that really brought us was, and this happens with everyone's first book, I feel, friends and family. I reached out to every fucking person that I knew across every social media platform and was like, hey guys, I'm making a comic. And in all honesty, with everything going on, it was the perfect opportunity. Because I'd be linking up with these people I hadn't talked to in years and just catch up with them for a few minutes. And then when it came to the eventual point of, well, what have you been up to? I'd be like, well, actually, it's interesting you say that. I'm starting, everyone in my life knows how passionate I am about comics. So it was interesting that you say that. I'm actually living the dream effectively. I'm creating my own comic book, and they're like, holy shit, what can I do? And that's where you find, I feel, your initial base of support, and they network it out as best as they can. And but when it came down to it, the big thing that broke us into the direct market, that really tipped the balance from it being friends and family backing my book to an actual business enterprise that people invested in, was getting on all these platforms. I don't think that I can narrow it down to one or the other, because every single one of these has its own market. Twitter has its market of people that will throw money at you. YouTube has its market of people that will throw money at you. Radio shows, podcasts. I've gotten bits from every single one of these things that I've been on. And the important thing really is to just get out there, because you never know who's going to be watching in the audience. The last show that I did on the last campaign was with Mandy Summers, she is one of the sweetest people that I've met. She's such a big, she has such a big heart, and she does everything that she can for anyone that comes on her show. And she literally held the show open longer than she normally does, just so we'd fun, because we were so close. And while we were on her show, I think we raised $800 or something.
Right.
For an hour and a half.
No, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. That's awesome on her part. All right. See, I set up these questions. Normally, I go off the cuff, but I actually wrote down questions there. It's a little weird for me. I don't normally do that.
It's all good. We have to break our norms at some point.
Yeah. Well, especially since we already did this is part 2.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a follow up. So we had a lot of really fun questions that I feel like are like the hey man, if you could have any no worries about budget. I think that was you. It was no worries about budget. If you could have any artist draw your book, it was like, oh god.
Okay, let's see. Here's one for you. Now, as far as the process when it comes down to you creating, right? Mm-hmm. What is the part of the process that you least like? Like, what is that process where you get in there, you're like, damn it, it's time to do this. What is that for you? It's different for everybody. Like for artists, I know one guy, he hated drawing borders.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
That's a difficult question for me because mm-hmm. I feel I've only completed one book,
right? So
I feel like that's a difficult question. I think the most difficult part for me on the first campaign was doing the Photoshop and creating the credits pages and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not doing that on this next book, so I don't feel like that's a fair thing to be like, well, that's my least favorite part. Because it's not something that I'm going to be doing on every book, and so I can't be complaining about it. I guess oh, whoa,
right?
Yeah. I guess if I had to pick anything, goodness gracious.
No, if you can't think of anything, that's cool.
Maybe setting up page layout for how I want the panels to be done. It's always something I get super self-conscious about because I'm very new, and so I'm always worried that my panels will start to feel like I'm in a repetitive formula. Mm-hmm. And so it's always rack my brain on, and I'll go back and completely delete a page layout 6 or 7 times sometimes. I'm I'm fairly certain I've done something like this 2 or 3 times, or this, that, the other, and it makes me very self-conscious, which is not something I usually have when I'm writing. But that's the other thing about it is it's one of the things I do enjoy about doing the comic strips, because I come from this background where I'm either, from a creative standpoint, I'm either writing prose and was used to writing something more geared towards a novel, or I write industry news as a freelancer for Up Your Geek right now as one of the many things that I do. And so that's just one of those. It's just one of those things where writing a comic script is something that I'm not used to yet, and that's probably the most foreign part of it for me, is having to break down a page into panels for my artist. And because once I'm getting to the panel descriptions, I'm fine, because it's effectively just writing your exposition in a novel. But when you're doing your page layouts, that's something that I'm oh, and I beat myself over the head about.
Gotcha. Now, do you actually draw out a physical little thing, or are you just typing it and just? So
I've been just typing it. I'm experimenting a bit more with the drawing it out, since I do have a little bit of drawing talent. I'm not amazing, but I do okay. But that's the whole thing, is the first time that I wrote a script, I was looking at a Marv Wolfman's Man and Superman Deluxe Edition, and at the back of it he had the draft of his original script, and that's how I formatted my script, was based off of that. And with him, it would be you would look at a page and he'd lay out what kind of what kind of panels he wanted, horizontal, vertical, like like the length of them and size of them, how he wanted them arranged and stacked, and like that's how I've written Elysian Fields. But like there are other projects that I'm working on with different people where like there's one project right now that I can't really go too much into, but the artists that I'm working with have been like we've worked really well, because what I'll do is, this is a character, the character we're working with is somebody that I really like, and I've been having issues getting the words onto paper until I see it visually. So like I'll pseudo storyboard out like kind of what I'm seeing in my head, and then the artist takes it, makes it brilliant, and then I'm like, okay, this is what I need to like, and everything just starts clicking, you know.
Okay, that's cool. Now, I got a question from the audience. Giz Hazaji, I'm pretty sure I'm mutilating that. I apologize to you, sir. But he asks, what about your favorite part? What's your favorite part of working on the stories?
Easily when I get the art. Every single stage of getting a page from any of my artists is so thrilling. Just seeing the things in my head come to life in ways that I couldn't even appreciate. You know, like not even necessarily the way that I even envisioned it, but it comes out in such a way where I'm just like, this is fucking incredible. Like this is my this is my creation. This is my thing. And it's easily one of the most fulfilling experiences that I've had doing anything in my life. Like every single time Marcelo sends me new pages, whether it's pencils, whether it's inks, whether it's colors, I like drop everything I'm doing. Like there was even a point where like I got a notification that I got an email from Marcelo for a page update, and I was driving. I literally pulled over into a fast food restaurant, parked, and looked at the images just so I could geek out for a minute.
Yeah, I've been there.
Like it's such a surreal experience. I think the only thing that rivals that is holding the book in my hand and reading through it as a comic book. That was also like, I don't think I have words that could quantify my reaction of holding Elysian Fields for the first time and reading it as a comic book. Like I had obviously gone through and read the digital to proof and everything like that. And I'd stared at the pages over and over and over again to make sure that things looked good. But to have it in your hand, to have this thing in your hand that's got your name on it, that is a realization of something that just a few months ago was scribbles on a piece of paper. I don't think that there, and I think that you as a writer and creator as well, I think you can attest to that. There's nothing quite like it.
Oh yeah. Like I said, I've been at that point where you get that email on your phone. You're like, you know what, guys? Just give me a minute. I just gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
just be in that meeting. Yeah, I've had that with my boss. I'd be like, you gotta go to Benjamin. Just give me a minute. I'll be right back. And then you come back.
come out in tears, and they're like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Nothing. I'm not crying. I'm just allergic to jerks. Leave me alone."
All right. So I know you got your new campaign coming up. So
Yes.
Let me ask you this: what is the thing that excites you the most about the next campaign?
Ooh, there's a lot. Honestly, there's a lot that excites me about the next book. I have been so fortunate in the connections that I've made since the Zero issue, and we have so much talent that has come in to touch this series.
Right.
We have 3 main covers for the next book. We have the main cover, which is done by Marcelo. We have a creator variant done by me because I'm shameless, and I was so fortunate. We have Kevin Sharp and Alonso Espinoza, who are the art team for the campaign, The Dragon Guard. That's up on Indiegogo right now, and they did a cover for us, and it's fucking gorgeous. And then we're doing a hardcover deluxe edition that collects the Zero issue and the Pyramid Gambit, and has a whole bunch of other really cool stuff in it. And the cover for that is being done by Scott Rosenma, and his work on that has been just tremendous. We have a Support Our Troops package that has its own Support Our Troops cover that's been done by Ted Lehman, and it's going to be colored by Farah Normaliza. And Ted sent me the pencils here last night, and we're saving that for a very special reveal. But it's gorgeous, and it's just seeing how this series has grown from just this initial concept into something that is hitting such a growing market and is getting appreciated by people, and that people are coming in. I've got people coming in asking to do stuff for us, and it's so cool because I'm not even approaching some of these people. I'm getting emails. I'm getting all these things saying hey man, what do I got to do? What can I do? Joe Tolliver, who's a tremendous artist, is doing a pinup for us, and he was chomping at the bit to just do anything, and he was like, "Can I do a cover?" And I already have so many covers. I cannot possibly. And then I was like, "Stop! I don't have a pinup. Would you want to do a pinup?" And Joe was like, "Fuck yes, count me in." And we came up with. I came up with kind of an idea for what to do for the pinup. He really liked it, and he's working away at it. I'm looking forward to seeing. He says that he should have some sort of progress for me in the next few weeks. Honestly, it's just such an incredible thing to see how we've gone from this tiny little Zero issue that almost couldn't, that was barely breaching 4,000, to almost hitting 10K when it's closed, to honestly being at a point where I think that if we don't hit 20,000, we've done something very wrong. Right. It'll be a whole thing where I kind of reevaluate every decision I've made in my life, because all of these people are so proud of the work that they've done in our books, and they want to promote it too, and they've been helping me promote, and we've just brought in so much, and people really liked the Zero issue. There was a lot of positive response to it. And as I said, we already have 100 people signed up for the mailing list. So at the base, that's 100 people buying a $15 book, right, with $10 shipping for domestic. And I unfortunately did have to raise the price on international. I ate hard cheese on that with the Zero issue. When I had created it, it wasn't too bad because it was right before the pandemic. So I was like, I'll just make up on the cost. It's not a big deal. And then all the prices went up, and so international. Oh, I ate it hard on international for that, and that sucked. So we are looking at kind of giving the international backers a little bit extra because they are going to be paying $25 for shipping. It was when I averaged all of our international stuff together, it was around $25, $26. Because there was just it's so expensive.
Have you ever shipped to New Zealand?
Yes, I have. And you know what's crazy? Australia is cheaper than shipping to is it more expensive than shipping to New Zealand, and New Zealand is closer. It blew my mind. New Zealand was $25. Australia was almost $27.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, how does that work?
It just could just be their system, and they just maybe charge a little bit more.
And that's fair, but it was just it was something that I completely threw me off. But yeah, as I said, I am looking at doing something. I was inspired by Luke Stone, who had announced that for his international backers, they're effectively throwing in as much swag as they can without really upping the shipping costs and making sure that it doesn't really hurt the weight all too much. So I was just like, that sounds like a good idea. So likely what we'll probably do is we have a few small things that are being activated by perk tiers, and the international people will probably get all of those things just off the bat along with the Tolliver pinup, because it's just they're practically paying for another damn book. In fact, I'm fairly certain they're paying more for shipping than they are for the book, which sucks. Like I hate doing that, but I don't have a choice. Like
it's international shipping is just killer.
Yeah, it's vicious. So like I hope that none of our international backers that backed the first book are second guessing backing this next one, because like I'm making it up. Like you might be paying more for shipping, but I'm not forgetting that, and I'm going to be paying that commitment forward.
Gotcha. All right. Well, no, that's really cool. So now, here's one for future creators. What is the one thing you would want to impart to anyone launching a new campaign? What's the one piece of advice?
There's a lot, but there's one that stands out. There was a creator that didn't fulfill his books well. His books were damaged when they got to people, and he didn't allow those people the ability to contact him and be reimbursed either by a new copy of the book or just refunding. I'm not going to JD knows who this person is. I'm not gonna dignify the guy's name, but my biggest piece of advice is respect your customers. They invested. They are just as much invested as you are, because they've given you the money to continue to do this. They have invested their capital, their time, and their patience. Meet your deadlines as best as you can, or at the very least communicate with them. Make sure your product gets to them intact and in a way that is presentable and enjoyable. And do not disrespect them by not allowing them to give you criticism. Criticism is how we move forward, how we improve. It is so important. And so that is my advice to future creators. Respect your customers. Respect what they have put into your book as much as you have put into it.
That's excellent advice. Yes. Great advice. Because that's the one thing is treat the customers, get them their books, get to them as quickly as you can. And just, do everything you can for them within reason. Yeah. I unfortunately, I can't put a steak in every bed. Just invite everybody over for dinner. Right. So, all right. So a couple more questions, then we're gonna get into my funky questions, and then we'll wrap up. Right. But first,
plan, man.
One, is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't address?
I don't think so. I guess just as a way to put it, so I mentioned that we're doing a support our troops tier. And we did have a support our troops tier on the last book, and I haven't forgotten about it. We did have people that purchased it. I don't want you to think that we haven't done anything with that money. We have, which it hasn't been donated just yet. We're waiting, because we had put in that support our tier on the last book so late in the game that we really didn't have that many people. It was only like around, when you took out the $10 per perk of those purchased, it was only around like $50, $60. And I didn't want to just hand I thought that's not really a donation. That's like a, hey, thanks.
Right.
I want to feel good today. Here you go. So we are going to be donating to the Special Forces Charitable Trust. There is a support our troops package that, as I said, comes with an exclusive cover for that, and it'll be exclusive to Indiegogo as well.
Nice.
There is another thing that could be potentially coming with it. I haven't. It's a potential opportunity. It hasn't been put in stone, so I can't confirm it yet. But like, it is a big thing that it could potentially be added on to it, and it'll obviously be signed, and so $10 of that goes to Special Forces Charitable Trust, and then on top of that, we have another tier called the Whole Enchilada, which has like the 3 main covers and the Support Our Troops cover with that potential item that I was speaking of. I can't confirm just yet.
Right.
And so that, again, $10 of that will also go to Special Forces Charitable Trust because it has that special variant in there. So I wanted to make sure that we really gave that. The Special Forces Charitable Trust is a great organization that not only just helps the veterans of Special Forces, but their families, raises money for scholarships for their kids, all sorts of things. And I come from a military family. I served 6 years Army National Guard in the infantry. It's something I want to pay forward.
Nice. Well, one of the members on the board, he says, I'm going to need to get all those covers. So there you go. The Whole Enchilada.
Yeah, Whole Enchilada is where it's at, man. We hope you get to it. It's going to be our featured perk, so it'll be right there in front of your face.
No, that's awesome. Now, I actually, we already went through this. Who would you want to get, as a cover artist? We did that one already, right? We already did, which comic you'd want to write, right?
Yeah.
So we'll change it. We'll just tweak it just a little bit, right? So if you could become the EIC of any of these companies that are currently running, which company would you want to become the EIC for, and what would be your first action? And just your first action, because there'd be like 5,000 of them after that. But but your first action.
Jeez. You know what? I'm not going to do the predictable thing and say either Marvel or DC. So I'm going to eliminate them right off the bat because honestly, I don't think that there's much I could do in that position to fix those companies because they've ingrained themselves so much in stuff that to untangle that mess, it's more trouble than it's worth. Honestly, Boom. I would become Boom.
Boom. Okay, that's interesting.
And the reason why I pick Boom is because Boom is this very interesting company that has some pretty cool IPs when you really start looking at it that they handle pretty well. But I feel like it's one of those smaller brands that is one of the last companies that's fairly accessible to people trying to get into the industry. And so that's what I do. The first thing that I would do is I would host a open forum to the indie community.
Right.
Invite any indie creator with a hard pitch to come to the table, bring everything that they have, art, sequentials, story, script, and review it. And if it was something that I felt that would sell, and the writer has either proven themselves through crowdfunding or is competent enough to where that they can be groomed into something that's fantastic, sign them. And either sign them, and it would be depending on if they'd done their own crowdfunding books and had shown up with that, they'd be alone. And if it was a brand new writer that has potential, bring in one of my veterans, put them on that book as a co-writer / editor to literally just be there to make sure to literally just be there to go over their script and help them understand the breakdowns of things. Okay, so I understand what you're trying to do here with this panel layout, but let me show you how we could do this a better way and help them really understand it and teach and bring it up. because I think that with a company like Boom, they are big enough to where you can afford to do that, but they're small enough as well to where you can really redefine yourself. And I think that companies like Boom, if they're smart over the next few years, are going to take the industry by storm.
Yeah, I mean they have a really really good lineup, and they have a lot of good creators over there. A lot of excellent creators.
Exactly. And that's why I picked them. I remember the first time I read a Boom comic, I was going to one of my LCs, LCSs rather, and this guy that I used to talk to that worked there was like, "Dude, have you read this series Black Market?" And I went, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't read indie books." And he says, "Let me change your life." And I read the first issue of Black Market, and I never missed a single one after. It was incredible. And that's not to say that like every single one of Boom's titles is like that, but like there are enough to where I feel like you could take a company like that and really do something.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, cool. All right. So now, Michael, where can people find you and your work and all that good stuff?
So they can find me. Obviously, the easiest place to find me is probably Twitter at @ElysianFields_0. We do have I do have a personal Facebook. If you hit me up on my personal page on Facebook, please let me know that you were listening to one of these shows, because I've been getting a lot of friend requests from people that I have like onesies and twosies mutual friends, and they turn out to be bots. And I'm not really digging that, so I'm going to be a lot more selective about who I'm accepting, because I have a kid, so I'm not going to just let anybody on anymore. So please, if you are watching and you are interested in getting in touch, if you're a fan, I'm more than happy to add you. But please make sure that you let me know in like a message alongside with your friend request, because I will probably ignore it otherwise. And then we also have a Nine Realms Publishing Facebook page. If you want to follow us up on there, that's my publishing company that we're publishing Elysian Fields through, and have a few other things coming your way as well.
Cool. All right, nice. So now let's get on to some of these comparatives.
Ooh.
All right. I got a few new ones. I won't hit you up. I won't hit you up with Captain America, Batman. We already know poor Batman, he lost.
I'll tell you what, that new Batman trailer was fucking awesome. I'm excited.
You know what's funny? Just going to the movies, I'm just like, yeah, I would just like to go to the movies again. You know, it's just like I'm excited to see anything. You know,
fair, but
Kirk or Picard?
Picard.
Okay.
I love Patrick Stewart so much. It really has nothing to do with Kirk, because I'm not a huge Star Trek guy, but I fucking love Patrick Stewart.
Listen, fair enough, man. I got to see him a while ago in Shakespeare in the Park here in New York City. We have a little Shakespeare thing.
I am very aware of Shakespeare in the Park. I hate you.
Yeah, and he played Prospero in The Tempest. I got to watch him.
You're gonna make me mad, JD.
Shouldn't be mad. You should be happy for me that I got to see that.
I'm jealous. I'm very envious. My green comes up quick, man. I love Patrick Stewart. He's such a. I loved that during the beginnings of the quarantine, he was reading a Shakespearean sonnet every day. I was just like, good for you, trying to cheer people up with beautiful poetry.
Yeah. So, Stan Lee or Jack Kirby?
I know this is going to catch me some flack, because this is actually a very controversial pick, but I'm Stan Lee. And the reason for that is, while I love Jack Kirby and I think that he's fantastic, and a lot of his stuff that he did was so ahead of his time. The thing that Stan Lee really did for the industry that I don't think gets talked about enough is flipping the bird to the Comic Code Authority. by printing his Spider-Man '89. When they told him that no, we don't give you the stamp to publish this, and he published it anyway. Because I don't care what anybody says, Comic Code Authority was censorship, and it prevented these writers from really writing books the way that they wanted to. And I understand, like, there are people who miss those days because it felt like comics were more accessible to younger viewers, and I understand that, and I do feel that a bit. But to discount the absolute hindrance that the CCA had on the creator's ability to produce genuine art is criminal.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I'm picking Stan Lee.
Okay, that's that. Like I said, as I always say, there's no wrong answers.
I know, but I feel like when you have the Stan Lee, Jack Kirby thing, there's a lot of there are some people where if you pick one or the other, they fucking gun at you. Why? Yeah. Why would you say that? And I'm just like, look, man, I love both. Captain America, my boy. So fucking Jack Kirby, obviously, a lot of love there. But at the end of the day, I think that what Stan Lee did for the industry was topple the greatest censorship movement in Western media, in all honesty, especially during its time.
Now here's one from I got a question from the crowd. Batman, vigilante or superhero?
I know exactly who did that. Scott, you're a dick. You're trying to start things. One of my buddies asked to get the link for this, and this is a common argument with within my friend group from back home, from like growing up, and the answer that me and my best friend, who are the two biggest Batman fans group, have dictated is that it depends on the story in which he is being written. If he is in a solo Batman title where he is operating in Gotham City, vigilante. If he is in a Justice League story where he is operating in the capacity as a member of the Justice League, he is a superhero. And you would think that there's no distinction. There is, because when he is acting as a member of the Justice League, a lot of people forget this, but the Justice League are actually sanctioned as superheroes by the United States government in the old comics. So Batman is actively working as a member of, as a marshal of the United States government when he is working as a member of the Justice League. When he is operating in Gotham, he has no sovereignty. He is there. It is his war against crime. And so in that regard, he is purely vigilante in Gotham City. When he is operating on that global scale with the Justice League, he is representing the Justice League in that capacity. And so he is a superhero.
Okay, there you go. So I guess your buddy, he just had to stir that pot for you a little bit, right?
Oh, 100%. The moment that you put it, it's either Scott or it's one of the people in that group, because I posted it up on the group here and was like, hey, if anyone's interested, I'm doing a live stream here in a few minutes. And I'm sure that one of them is just like he.
So here's one for you: Frank Miller or Alan Moore?
Frank Miller. I think I think Alan Moore is a more talented writer. I think Frank Miller gets superheroes better.
Okay.
There's a fantastic interview that Miller did that I think really capitalizes on this. Where Alan Moore sees superheroes as tools in which that he can do stories that delve into his own complex ideologies, whether they be political or economic or what have you. And that's why things like Watchmen exist, V for Vendetta, and all these things. He sees superheroes merely as vehicles of storytelling. And Frank Miller, on the other hand, understands the romance of superheroes. There's an interview that he did when talking about The Dark Knight Returns versus The Watchmen, which were both coming out at around the same time. And he and Alan had this fairly friendly competition between the two. And he was talking about, he was like, I really like what Alan does in Watchmen, but it's missing the romance. And even when you look at The Dark Knight Returns in its darkest moments, there is a sense of the romantic in there. And like when he says that it's not like romance lovey-dovey, it's like the Arthurian romances. It's these stories of gallantry and chivalry and doing the right thing and helping people because it's the right thing to do. And that's the core heart of a superhero story.
Gotcha. Well, as a response to your Batman question, this Hazichi, and I apologize for brutalizing.
It's Gish something. It's okay. Totally Scott. I figured that was him.
He says it's an interesting answer. So there you go. Your buddy's on your side. Here we go. I'll give you an easy one. Terminator or RoboCop?
I don't know a lot about either. I've watched more of the Terminator movies more times than the RoboCop films, but I think I like RoboCop a bit more. So we'll go RoboCop.
All right, cool. That first movie is hilarious.
The first RoboCop movie?
Yeah, the first RoboCop movie is hilarious.
It's corny as all shit, but like I love it. It's such a dumb concept, but it's so fun, and I feel like Terminator at times takes itself a bit more seriously. And so I have more fun with RoboCop. It's super tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, definitely. Grant Morrison or Neil Gaiman?
Ooh.
If when you really consider it, it's much tougher than you think. Because I think a lot of people write off Grant Morrison.
Because that's the whole thing. Is that if we're just talking like superheroes, like Grant Morrison wins, but like from a writing standpoint, you can't. Neil Gaiman, man, he's incredible. His Sandman books. I watched the entirety of that DC fandom event. It was so cool hearing him talk about how he did Sandman. And it was like, if I had known that it was going to become this big a thing, I probably would have fucked it up because I was just I was some naive dude that had never done this before. And like people would tell me that's not how you do things. And I did it anyway. And it came out the way it did, and so it is such a difficult question. I'm going to go with Grant Morrison because I love Flashpoint Paradox so much. I really do, and I love Thomas Wayne's Batman, and I wish that DC would do more with him and give him to writers that can actually write. And but anyways.
No, I got you, man. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, I think my opinion is that the best Superman story ever written was All-Star Superman. I love it.
100%. And I wasn't even going to touch that. I
love it.
All-Star Superman is the book that to me made me understand Superman. Growing up, I was not a big Superman fan, and it's really ironic because I have a lot of issues with his vision for him now, but Man of Steel, by the movie Zack Snyder did, was the first time I had ever seen anything with Superman really, and was interested. And so that caused me to go and start reading and doing stuff. And then a buddy of mine who was a huge Superman fan was like, "Have you read All Star Superman yet?" And I was like, "No, what is it?" And he let me his book. And dude, at the end of that book, I dare somebody to read All-Star Superman and not finish it and walk away in love with the Man of Steel. It is so good and so pure to who that character is. And the emotional ticks in that man will make you freaking weep. And while the animated film is solid, they cut out the best moments from the book too. Like some of the moments with the most heart, and honestly, like you have to. Everyone should read All Stars with me. I think that it is as influential of a book as the Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. It's one of those things where if you're ever looking for a book to really call the quintessential Superman story. It's All-Star.
No, I agree. I mean, it's an incredible read.
Yeah.
Now, we're getting close. I'll ask you a couple more of these, and then we'll wrap it up, right? Let's see. Here's a goofy one for you: Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair?
I'm not a big wrestling guy. And the wrestling that I do know is like 90s era, like CM Punk, because I got a buddy who's a wrestling fan, and that's predominantly what I know. But you know what? Just because I used to watch, what the hell was it with Hulk Hogan, where he plays the future commando that comes down and hangs out with the kids?
Oh, okay. Was it a cartoon?
No, it was a live action thing where he is like a space alien or something. It's something Suburban Commando. Because of Suburban Commando, I will go with Hulk Hogan.
Okay. So all right, we'll go with Todd McFarlane or Arthur Adams.
I gotta go with Todd, man. I love McFarlane so much, and again, it's one of those things where it's not even so much of a contest of who's more talented, so much as a contest of who's had considerably more influence on the industry as a whole. And I feel like Todd is one of those people who will be remembered to the vein of Stan Lee as somebody that really took this industry and forced it into a metamorphosis.
All right, cool. And we'll end it with this: Spock or Data?
I'm going to go with Spock because I like Leonard Nimoy a lot.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough.
Like
so we made it, Mike.
Yeah. Data's fun. First Contact was the first thing Star Trek that I watched and really enjoyed.
Right.
But I really like Leonard Nimoy. And I'd stick with that. Yes, Spock.
All right, cool. All right, well, listen, man, we made it to the end. Now, one more time, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work.
You can find me, as I said, the best place to find me is at Twitter, at @ElysianFields_0. Find me on Facebook under Michael Oden. Again, please, if you friend request me and you've seen me on one of these videos or on anything else that I've done in promotion, make sure that you let me know that, you saw me on this YouTube thing and just want to get in touch. Because I've been getting way too many bots and what have you, and I'm not playing around with that anymore. I do have a personal life. So, and then Nine Realms Publishing is, we have a Facebook page as well, and Pyramid Gambit is up on Indiegogo in its pre-launch stage. Sign up for that mailing list to get yourself that exclusive pinup by Joe Tolliver, super talented artist. You don't want to miss out. It comes free with every physical tier purchase that you get if you're on the mailing list. So don't waste the opportunity. It takes 2 minutes and you get a free freaking poster.
Nice. Okay, cool. So, Michael, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
everybody,
JD.
Thank you so much. We'll be back soon, hopefully within the next few days, with another fantastic creator. So please like, subscribe, share out the video, and hit that notification button. And please go check out the Oswald Chronicles, currently available on Kickstarter. Mike, well, I'll be talking to you soon. Have a good night, everybody.